Hi, welcome to Warrior Commission Now, where we talk about practical ways to live out your commission with the Lord. I'm Christine Caston.
And I'm Sharon Rudolph.
And Sharon and I are, we'll just continue to have these conversations. So just really, just accept the invitation to join us. We're sitting around a table. Grab your cup of coffee or your cold drink and come on and sit down and just join us as we discuss and explore what it is that God's doing and how that practically applies to our lives in this time and season. So as of this particular chat, one of the things that we came across was the idea of the rite of passage, and that rite of passage is actually not so much about maturity in and of itself, but it's actually about what Jesus opened up for us in the process of his sacrifice and his choice to reconcile us back to the Father and Holy Spirit. And so we wanted to just kind of explore really what that rite of passage includes and what that is, because we tend to kind of stop at the reconciliation piece, but he reconciled us for a reason beyond just, hey, yeah, we can say hi to God, but Sharon, let's kind of explore what that opened up, what that rite of passage actually opens up for us in our connection with God.
Well, a huge piece is that we actually do get to be friends with Jesus. And that makes everything different. I feel like the culture is so often focused on how do we fit in to something. And yet with Jesus, it's not about fitting in, it's about belonging. And there's something that happens in our soul when we know that we belong. And it opens up space for us to see the world differently and to step into living differently beyond what we see happening around us. And I think when I think of rite of passage, it's not an event that happens. It's about the road that opens up from that point on. And where might that take us?
Right.
What might happen if your big brother is king of the universe? Right? What might happen? And so I have enjoyed exploring what that means for me, what that means for my family, what that means for day-to-day life on the road in front of me. So, Christine, you brought up this idea of rite of passage, and it intrigued me greatly. So I'd love to hear some more about what God's been showing you about that. It's about the path before us concept.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the first initial thing that hit me was the story in the Bible of Esther and Xerxes, and at that point where she was able to have the opportunity to go into his throne room, and knowing that she could be killed or not, right? But he extended his scepter and he said, up to half my kingdom is yours. And as I was praying about that, what I realized is God's actually given us the kingdom, because we're co-heirs with Jesus. Now, he's still very much in rulership, right? He's still the king. We're not saying that we are that at all. But what happens when you have that inheritance, what happens when you have that permission granted, is there's something about the mysteries of heaven that are now part of your process of relationship with God. And in that process, he reveals those things to you. And, the mysteries of heaven, so some of those mysteries can truly be something that is, beyond our tangible experience on earth. But some of them are also the permission granted to really explore God's heart, to really connect to him relationally. He's not a distant God. And we have the perception that he is because we have certain expectations that we don't see him fulfill in that way. And then we say, oh, well, he's distant. Well, maybe it's not that he's distant, maybe that our expectations were not actually aligned with his heart. And so when you align with his heart, and when you pursue him and relationship with him, there's something that happens that's different in your life that comes, that is kind of that limitless possibilities of God's heart that
Yes.
is so amazing to explore.
Yes. And in my journey, a beginning place of my journey, and I would say it was because I didn't know, truth was I didn't know any better,
Mhm,
right? I knew prayer was necessary to connect with God, so, and to bring God's influence into whatever was going on.
mhm,
And when life isn't going like you want it to, you pray hard.
mhm,
And so I was reading books on prayer, and I was exploring what is prayer, and how can I be heard.
mhm,
And on that journey, God showed up, and I realized he always did hear.
mhm,
But because I was seeing from the wrong lens, I wasn't able to see what he was actually doing.
mhm,
And once you start to align with God's lens and take a look at what is important to him and what he's about,
mhm,
and you line up with that instead of what we would like to see happen,
mhm.
right? Then there's a huge shift in those limitless possibilities. And the truth is, our enjoyment of the journey,
Mhm.
because God is giving so many amazing things. I mean, you brought in the Esther story, right? And in the back of her head, right, she's like, I could die today.
Right, exactly.
And she took the risk.
Mhm,
And what God did with it was save a people.
mhm.
And I think there are little ways that God does that in our life all the time.
Yeah,
What if we got fired from a job, but it was because God had this job over here? What
exactly.
if this relationship didn't work out? I thought we were going to get married,
Mhm,
and it didn't work out because God knew that this was better for you over here,
mhm.
right? And
Right.
and in the pursuit of the intimacy comes the lens changes, comes the perspective shifts, so that we align with God's heart.
Right.
And it's not nearly as mysterious as we think it is. He wants us to know. He
It's,
wants
yeah.
us to know.
Well, and I think that's the thing. So part of my journey in this, in realizing, oh, Jesus gave me a rite of passage to the heart of the Father. And
Yes.
and he gave me a rite of passage to connect with the Holy Spirit in a different way than, again, some distant, ethereal woo
Right.
kind of thing that sometimes people talk about. But in that process, and in that journey, part of my training in relationship with God was even, and I don't know why this comes to mind, because it's not a big spiritual kind of thing, but maybe that's why, because it's not. But I remember, I had a friend I was supposed to meet for lunch, and it was near my birthday. And as I was walking to the restaurant, the Lord said, by the way, this is a surprise party. So make sure you act surprised. And I was like, well, why did you tell me? Because I would have been surprised, if you hadn't told me, kind of thing. And so, it was a surprise party, and all of that. And so then later I was like, okay, God, why did you tell me about the surprise party? And then to say, act surprised, kind of thing. And he said, because I want you to understand what it's like to walk with me and to be given an understanding of what's going to happen before. And that in that place of intimate connection with him, he does speak to us in preparation for what's to come. And that may seem like a silly little example, but then what happened over the years was he started telling me, this battle's coming, prepare for it. This is what you're going to face. you know,
Right.
and he trusted me not to run away from what that is. But at the same time, there was an understanding in that heads up that he was with me. And
Yes.
it gave me a lifeline, if you will, through those battlegrounds of my life, to know that God was walking with me and I was walking with him. And
Yes.
together we were on this journey. Now, that wasn't just me and God alone, and that's it, you know, because God
Right.
always involves others. And so I saw how he brought others into that process and into that journey. So there's something really powerful in stepping into that rite of passage that Jesus gives us, and to recognize that the limitless possibilities of God are not some, you know, free for all that we have. It's actually the
Right.
limitless possibilities of what happens when the God of all things is actively involved in your life.
Yes.
It's an
Yes. And
amazing journey.
it is an amazing journey, and it is not difficult, and it does not involve a lot of weird jumping through hoops,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Mostly it takes time. And actually, it's a lot more enjoyable and, in my opinion, effective when you're on that journey with other people who also want to be on that journey.
Right, exactly. Well, then you
And
have the conversations. You can have the conversation.
yes,
You can process through, okay, this is what I think God's doing, you know,
right.
because sometimes it is a journey into that understanding. You know, it is a
Yes,
journey into, okay, this is not me, this is the Lord, you know, kind of thing.
right.
There's a journey in it. And I think that part of the journey involves an openness to saying yes, God, whatever is involved in this space that opened up because of this rite of passage that you've given me, I'm willing to embrace it. And I trust you not to give
Right.
me a stone. I trust you to give me bread.
Right. Right. And I think it's interesting. Jesus promised when he told them, I believe it's in John 14, when he told them about Holy Spirit, he promised them, I'm going to tell you what is to come.
Mhm,
But that was for his followers.
mhm,
That was for people who pursued his heart.
mhm,
And so it's not unreasonable for him to share that with us.
mhm.
So it's a promise he gave us.
It is.
And if you would like to be a part of a community that has these conversations, that explores these limitless possibilities of all that we have as co-heirs with Christ, as sons and daughters of God, come check out the Warrior Commission. We train towards intimacy with God, and it's not about knowing more stuff.
Mhm,
It's about having a relationship. It's about learning to be yourself, and it's about embracing who God is for you.
mhm.
And the truth is, we're each unique, and our journey with God will be unique. This isn't about cookie cutter Christian zombies. This is about this is about being yourself
It's about the
with
individual beauty that God has
yes,
in each of us.
yes, the individual
Yeah.
beauty that he's created, that we
And
get
through
to help.
that, through that, it's amazing because, you know, you talked about it's not just about information. We still get information, but what
Yes,
happens is it moves from being just information to being a very active, real part of our lives. You know, the
right.
revelation that comes in life with God is incredible. So
Yes.
anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I just
No, I'm glad you did.
bubbling
No,
in my
this
heart.
right. And so this is just this as we finish up a call, I just want to invite you to be asking the Lord, what are your limitless possibilities? What has he opened up for you in your rite of passage with him? And if you would like to explore that, come check out the Warrior Commission. We would love to help you.
Y'all
Thanks
have a
for
great
joining
day.
us today.
Bye.